Alright, welcome back everybody. Today we're actually taking a look at this brand new Catalina pack here. I should really say brand new because it's been out for a hot second here. And I've just been a bit lazy to actually review it, but we're going to disregard that right now. We're actually going to take a look at it real quick and give my sides and opinions on it and see whether or not it's something that you guys should be looking at to buy yourselves. So currently as it stands, there is two promotional packs going on right now. One that gives you this pretty much deluxe version, quote unquote. The regular base version here that's 30 bucks, that's going to be the one that sticks around forever. And then the cheap base model that is $14 that gives access to the actual unique parts associated with this pack. So let's start off with the basic pack that's going to stick around forever, just so that you guys get an idea in perpetuity, unless I actually get rid of it for whatever reason. So what do we actually get here that is quote-unquote unique? Anything that's actually labeled unique, I'm just going to say, is the actual thing that is going to stick with this card that is actually associated with it. So you get the unique, I'm going to call it the beauty, which with that, if you don't know what that means, that actually just means this little design right here, which honestly, oddly enough, there's really nothing stopping you from just like copying and pasting this design into the exhibition and calling it good. Not really much they're going to do to stop you, so not really too much uniqueness with the quote-unquote blueprint, but who cares? Beyond that, you also get the Epic Module Signal Jammer Daze, which I believe is this beautiful. So when activated, disables enemy weapons within 35 meters for 2 seconds, operates for 6 seconds, disabling every 3 seconds. So in total, if you get both of the procs off at the exact same time, that means you basically get 4 seconds disabled. While active, it reduces the power and speed of the armored car and becomes explosive. Doesn't affect drones except autonomous drones and Leviathans. So you can't really use that on Leviathan to disable the parts over and over and over again, which honestly would be kind of overpowered because that means you could basically disable a Leviathan for, I think what that'd be, if it's 2 seconds, you could do that with 4 cars. How many times could you disable then? So it'd be 4, 8, 16 seconds of straight disables. Ooh, that'd be so good. But of course, you also have to balance out with the risk of actually getting close, which could be, it's kind of bad. I don't know. But still kind of nice. Consumes a lot of power, though, at 3, so it's a huge investment to actually utilize something like this. But interesting little pack, great for kind of like little sneaky stuns. So if you like ran underneath somebody, disabled their weapons, and started going hog wild, could be something nice about that. You also get the grenade, the impulse grenade launchers here. Not too bad. They're decently all right. They used to be a lot more powerful back when explosions were a bit more powerful, but they're still pretty decent. You also get a little Chief Hardcore, a little engine ampere here, very explosive. You also get the buggy wheels here, which reduce the requirement for speed activation here. So for buggy parts, that would reduce the speed requirement to actually get the maximum bonus for this overheating capacity. So at slower speeds, you could actually get yourself increased overheating capacity at lower speeds. So instead of being, 80 kilometers an hour, it'd be whatever is, 8, 16, 32 miles lesser, 32 kilometers less than that. So you'd be looking at, 48 kilometers an hour to actually reach the full potential, something like that? At least if I'm doing the math correctly. Beyond that, you also get the unique paint can here, the lipstick, which, let's see, how much is it actually selling for right now? It is selling for incredibly cheap. No one wants this paint. Legitimately, only 3 people are selling it. That's funny. I guarantee you that black paint, a little bit more interest into that, but again, very few people want to buy that as well. But I think the actual black paint itself is actually very common, so it kind of makes sense. Beyond that, you also get access to the Furia structural parts, which I believe are something associated with the, I want to say it's the Lunatics faction, if I remember correctly. You also get a couple of the steppable parts with the APC, the La Furia fenders here, which look quite nice. A few little bumpers here, so it's not too bad. The main actual visual elements are these little pieces in the back here. They give it a very retro vibe to it, which I believe, I think these are unique to it. I don't think I actually have these myself. And it says you can craft them, but I don't think you can. You can't craft any structural parts, from what I understand. And then you also get yourself 1,500 coins, as always. And then you increase your maximum parts up to 40, which is not really that high. The maximum is 80 points, or 80 parts, so not really ideal. But beyond that, you also get access to this lovely Catalina cabin, which is the mainstay of this thing. Decreases the damage of all mounted weapons by 15%. As you deal damage with any weapon, the weapon's maximum damage is increased by 8% until the player's armored car is destroyed. Stacks up to 10 times. So, from what I understand, it is, 8 times 10? So 80% extra damage? But it takes a little bit longer to actually get up there, and you have to remember that it's coming from a deficit of 15. So actually isn't a maximum of 80% total damage, it's the 80 minus 15, so you're down to 70, 65% total extra damage, which is still very good, but then you also have to balance with the fact that this car only has a maximum mass limit of 8,650. Now you can modify that by reducing the mass of the cabin, by fusing it, or by getting an upgraded or fused engine that increases your mass limit even more, but even then, that could only do so much, and eventually, even if you did get, say, like the absolute chunkiest of engines in here, to give you as much mass limit as possible, that is still not going to give you a whole lot of wiggle room here. So, for example, this right here, the Colossus will only give you 2,500. The Cheetah here gives you roughly around 1,000. This one here gives you correctly around 2,500, so very similar to that of the Colossus, although in a much more awkward form factor. Then you have the Hot Rod here, which only really gives you around 1,000 kilograms, and then the Oppressor here, which only gives you 1,000 yet again. So realistically, you can only add another 2,500 mass limit to a cabin like that already. So it's not a whole lot of wiggle room to really move and make a lot of heavy cars with here. I mean, you have to compare that with a lot of the other cabins here at similar price brackets. So you're looking at the purple category here. So if you take a look at something like these cabins over here, which have the absolute highest, these are 9,000. Or sorry, not 9,000 there. That was the tonnage. This is 20,000 here. This is 20,000 here. You got another 18,000, 19,000, 18,000. Even in the medium tiers here, where they're about half the weight, you still get 10,000. You get 16,000 there, 10,000 here. So you get a lot more mass at not that much higher of a power score or within the same power score. So Catalina is going to have much less durability than similar counterparts. So it's really more or less for a glass cannon build. But yeah, that's enough talking about it. Let's actually test drive this out, see how it actually feels. So you can see, even with this brand new pack right now, you can see that our HP is only 448 on this car. So not very high. This is a very ultra light car here. And I'm curious, it's actually going to show you the... there we go. See? So after that, we actually finally got our first stack of it, after nearly destroying that one car. There we go. We got our second stack. It takes nearly a full charge with this overheating module on it, too. There we go. And it seems it needs quite a few pieces of damage to actually get off and start doing some proper scaling on it. I think we need at least a couple hundred here. It looks like you could need in the neighborhood of 800-ish points to actually get up to your next level. But I actually wonder if it's actually going to get faster the more stacks you have, because of the more damage you're doing per se. And see, it's starting to stack pretty nicely. You can see the damage on it is starting to be quite impactful. Very nice. So I'm actually kind of curious. Let's do what it's like at level 1 with just one single impulse here. So one wave of these impulses straight on the cabin, how much damage will that be? Well, let's take a look here. So it's approximately 180. Alright, so let's get this to maximum damage, and let's see how much the actual damage is here. Give me a second, because now I gotta get all the way to maximum level here. So now we are at the maximum damage potential of this cabin. What is the actual final damage value for this? Now, theoretically, we have a plus 65% damage increase onto the impulse, or not impulse, the actual damage of these. So we were at 184, I think was our last damage. Let's see how it is now. Ooh, so it was 149 and 147. So that's 200 plus another... like another 100 slapped on top of that. So nearly 300 damage of this. So that's actually pretty dang substantial there. Nearly a 2x increase in the overall damage of this car. Not too shabby. I can see that it's actually pretty consistent when it comes to damage of this. So even though this thing only has 2 weapons on it now, it does a lot more and hits way above its weight class. Downside is that it's still very light in weight, and that if you ever get focused, this car is getting melted down like a stick of butter. So this car definitely requires a little bit more of optimized building to actually make it work correctly. Hey, what's up, Draft Next? Nice to see you there. Just checking out the brand new Catalina cabin here, which I can see why this bad boy is really popular. Especially seeing that on Leviathans. I was seeing people actually showing off the damage numbers people were seeing with this. And I can see why. I mean, the damage on this thing is impressive. I would love to see this actually started off with a caucus build, just to see what the damage potential would be. Oh, but interesting so far. Definitely like the absolute cabin perk. That is very nice. The weapon choice is a bit more difficult to actually land, just because of the actual how should I say, angle and turning radius of this gun, but it can be very good, especially on anyone who has a decent amount of aim and a decent amount of lead time. It can definitely be very nice. Ironically enough, the $14 pack here that comes with the storm weapons actually might be better, because for one, they actually have very long range and very little drop off, so the actual damage potential at a distance is really great. And honestly, it's probably more ideal for a cabin like this, because this cabin, being very light and very unable to take a lot of damage, is going to need as much distance as humanly possible from a lot of these other more substantial cars. The only downside is that because this cabin is so light, it is actually getting pushed by even the small amount of impulse from something like the Storm here, so you're going to have to actually probably maximize the mass on this car as much as humanly possible to actually get the full effect of its damage. But something like this with a sneaky build with long-range weapons and a cloak and a nice little radar can actually be very, very effective at sniping down and dealing lots of damage, especially when it starts getting towards its like ×8 thing. It'd be really great. Cabin's like the Konami, a very strange shape. Definitely has a bit of a strange shape here, but I do appreciate its more overall flatter dynamics to it. And it definitely has a very nice roof rack right there too. It makes it very easy. And the little underhang there does make it a bit awkward, but it can be very nice for things like hiding radiators or other structural elements that you want to hide behind the cabin. But yeah, plus it does have a very nice large amount of connection points underneath for frames, so very nice itself. Plus you also have a decent amount of energy and a great amount of speed too, so this car can absolutely haul butt. But yes, it does not have very much weight at all, so it should be very treated like a very sensitive build. So either you go balls to the wall with damage, or you try to stay in the back line and do as much damage as possible. But I definitely do appreciate it for the cheap price of only, you know, $14, which is pretty dang good. It's either that or we have to go onto the marketplace itself and pay roughly around 2,300 coins for it, because dang, do a lot of people want it, but not a lot of people can afford it right now. Now, as for whether or not you guys should actually get the $65 pack, that is a slight bit more questionable here. In terms of what you actually get, it's mostly decorations and paint here. So for one, you actually get this burn injury paint here, which itself is not actually very expensive, and in fact still has a little bit of cans actually on the market. Beyond that, the weapons, the radiators, and the other elements are all the same at Epic tier, except for the Ampere and the Hardcore. You also get an additional white paint, a couple of collection of stickers here for some extra flair if you were looking for that. So you got the black circle, a couple of eyelashes, a walking stick, and then I think this is just a white square, which, more or less, I'm guessing for this like paint job here on the side is what they're going for. That nice little like wick across the car, which I mean kind of looks cool. And then that white sticker I'm guessing is on top to give that nice little white domed appearance. Then beyond that, you also get the very cool looking tail fin here, which is probably what everyone's really going for, is this very retro looking light piece that is selling for nearly 370 coins a piece. And you get two of them. And then you get the more generic twin exhaust, which I believe has been on quite a few cars right now, so it's not nearly as expensive, but it's also there. Beyond that, you also get this nice hologram projector Retribution Fire, which, let's take a look at what it looks like. Take a look, see whether or not it could actually be activated with just a little bonk here. Oh, okay, I see what you mean. Very good observation, yeah. So apparently it's one of those holograms you don't activate, it's one of those you actually get by getting a kill. Very nice. Okay, well, I'll amend my previous statement. Does look a bit interesting, though. Kind of actually looks like, although oddly enough, it didn't apply it there. Huh. So I'm kind of curious as to what the actual parameters are for triggering it. Yeah, see, that one counted, and that one triggered the weird particle effect that actually almost kind of looks like a GPU artifact, like you have a broken GPU or something. Yeah, see, it applies it there. Why didn't it apply to this one? I wonder if it's time limited. And okay, yeah, now it applies. Okay, so there must be like an internal cooldown associated with it, so you can't do it back to back to back to back to back. But very nice here. Does it actually tell you? Oh yeah, activated when an enemy is destroyed. Only 2 holograms can be mounted to a vehicle at a time. Okay, okay. So not terribly jazzy, but actually pretty dang cool. I do kind of like the Retribution Fire, although it's a very unusual take on fire, but I can appreciate it. Beyond that, you also get a couple of other aspects here. The portrait here, the background, and I believe this also counts as another logo. So this is a background, logo, and then a portrait. They get a full kit and caboodle if you wanted to roleplay this dude. this Keanu Reeves looking like brother trucker. So not bad. You also get the portrait on this pack, I believe, but you don't get the background or the logo. So for the 60 bucks, you get an extra couple dozen coins here. It goes from what, 1,400? No, 1,500 to 4,000. So another 2,500 coins here, plus the actual background, the logo, the extra paint cans, and then the extra accessory parts here as well. So decently well here. You also get access to the previous decor parts that were part of the previous pack, but not actually displayed on this. So the actual decor, like these little fenders back here, are also in this pack as well, just not actually applied. So, not too bad. Although this pack is only available for a short amount of time, although they have been re-releasing old previous deluxe packs, so you probably can't get this later on down the line. So yeah, that's my review of the Catalina pack. I appreciate it overall. I do think the Catalina $14 edition is probably going to be the absolute best bang for your buck, and honestly, it's probably the more well-built and well-rounded vehicles, because at a much lower power score at 4,700, as opposed to the much higher one here at approximately 7,000. And at 7,000 power score with only 448 points of HP, like, that's not really going to work. You're going to get killed instantly by a cannon. But at 4,000, it makes a bit more sense. So the Catalina pack right here, this one actually makes more sense than any of the other ones. Although, I still wouldn't use these. Still get your own pack. Still design it with a lot more armor and cushion in there. And it'll work out real nicely. Interesting pack overall. I appreciate the design of it, and it does have a very interesting cabin perk that can be a bit abused in some circumstances here, but definitely is counteracted by the fact that it is a very nice overall cabin. So, pretty good pack. Pick it up if you guys like it, or you guys can wait for when it goes on sale eventually down the line for a little bit less, because there's a lot of other packs here that are being on sale right now for nearly 50% off, which is always like some of the better deals that you can get in this game. So, real nice. But I want to thank you all for joining me this evening, and I'll see you guys next time.